First up is a solution to a major pain point when it comes to cycling.
If they running their mouth, then they looking for trouble. Ran right up in the knowledge, now they back in the huddle. See, they know we can fight, new content every week. Me and Dr. Clyde, keep on bringing the heat. Now they know they were driven, and they know we quitting. Yoshi and the winner, keep on bringing the energy. Unity. See, they know we ain't stopping, and they know they got problems, and they ran out of options. If they know we got a problem, can't let it go unsolved. Brain based learner, Afrocentric history, we see tomorrow. Karma's karma, I say what I say, I hear underwater. Till I see I fall off, then I bring y'all up on note. I'm back up on my Clyde winners, 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 divine winters, Clyde winters, mind bender, Clyde winters, I'm Richard, ride with ya, master teacher, create masters, Clyde winters, give respect to the elder, Clyde winters.
I've not told lies. I've not stolen food. I was not stolen. I've not fornicated with the fornicator. I've not caused anyone to weep. I have not dissembled. I have not transgressed. I have not discussed secrets. I have brought no lawsuits. I am not wrong. I am not struck kill. I have not transgressed the law. I have not been hunted. Except when I'm talking about on the tongue. I have not made extolling. I have not bragged. I have not cursed. I have not been violent. I have not confounded truth. I have not been impatient. I have not cursed against.
Dr. Winter's legacy is a testament to the power of knowledge and the unyielding spirit of exploration. His impact is felt worldwide, as he shares and enlightens at conferences, symposiums, and collaborative projects. His voice is a beacon in the academic world, challenging, inspiring, and always educating. His journey reminds us that the quest for knowledge is never-ending, and its impact is timeless. Dr. Winters teaches us to challenge the narratives and to learn with an open mind. As he always says, B1 is not a group, it's a lineage. Let his story inspire everybody to pursue knowledge relentlessly and to always seek the truth. Now let us welcome in the grandfather of research, the Trill OG himself, the Honorable Dr. Clyde Winter.
What up, though? What up, though? Somebody looking for Clyde Winter. Oh, that's me. What up, though? How you doing, family? How you doing, Karen Vincent, Denise Bryant, CGI Kid Productions, JP, what up, though? You guys better look up her book on Southeast Asia. You got to get her book, CGI Kid Productions. Oh, what up, though? Jalen Persad, B1, what up though? This is a very interesting question. I want to thank you guys for coming in tonight. I know yesterday I had the fabulous Sister Shanice with me. As I told you, this woman is my oracle. She always has so much to teach, and she's always getting me inspired to do more and more research. But CGI Kid Productions had, how was Robert E. Lee racist if he was black? According to the United States Congressional Record, he had a dark complexion, which means to have darker black skin. That doesn't, the thing is this is that, this is an interesting question. How could he be racist? Well, he could be racist because the fact is that he felt that he still felt that he was a member of the white race. And, because of the fact, in a sense, that he's a member of the white race. Also, he had power. Remember, to be able to be a racist, you have to have power. He had the power to influence people. He had the power to even decide on people would live or die. So Robert E. Lee, even though he may have been considered black, he could have still been racist, because remember, the most important thing I had to understand is that black people come in all colors. Black people come in all colors. Don't forget that just because, in a sense, somebody is anti-black, it doesn't necessarily mean that in a sense, they can't be black. It's some black people who hate other black people. How you doing, Jalen Prasad? It's some black people, in a sense, who hate themselves because of CAIDS. And what is CAIDS? Culturally acquired immune deficiency syndrome. What up, Yoshima? Oh, the genius. Let's go. You see, but the most important thing to remember is that racism is a state of, is in a sense, you can only be a racist if you have power. Robert E. Lee, he may have been dark or whatever, but he had the power of life and death. So then he could be considered racist. Today, most of our foundational Black Americans cannot be considered racist because we don't have any power to decide on somebody's life or somebody's experience. We may individually work on a job where we can be a supervisor. And as a supervisor, we can maybe have influence on if that person will be able to keep their job or not. But in most cases, in a sense, foundational Black Americans don't really have that ability to be in a sense racist because they lack power. But then also you gotta take into account this fact is that as I've been trying to teach you guys every week is that black people come in all different types of colors. In terms of being dark, some black people are blue-black, yes, almost virgin on blue, but they're black. And then there's other black people who are very light-skinned or red bone. So then therefore, in a sense, remember a lot of people used to pass for white. And, because the fact in a sense that they could do this. But remember also is that that many of our ancestors, many of them came from Ireland. They were Black Irish. They would have been light skinned, or some would have been super dark. So this whole idea of racism simply implies that to be able to show racism, you have to have power. Robert E. Lee, even though he in a sense may have had a dark complexion, he could be racist because he said in a sense that he belonged to that other group of people. He said that he was in a sense part of a white nationalist, and as a white nationalist, even though in a sense he may have been his complexion or even maybe his phenotype could have been black, that doesn't necessarily would divorce him from, how you doing, Karen? It wouldn't divorce him from being in a sense a racist. But again, thank you for coming in last night. And yesterday I was very, very happy because the Sister Shanice has her own platform. We teach a 6-week course on British Black history, and so I was happy to have her with me yesterday because the fact, in a sense, is that she's such a wealth of knowledge in terms of in a sense Pan-Africanism. Yes, over here Pan-Africanism is a bad word, but when you say be one black first, that means that any person that's black, you should want to, in a sense, accept them as being your brother, your sister, even though they may belong to different groups. different groups, and that's very important. And but then also there's a lot of Black people who phenotypically are easily identified as Black. They don't see themselves as Black. Black is very interesting. The other day I was talking to Just Steve, and Eve. When we originally set out, our first talk was on, love. And so I said that love was a state of mind. And then she corrected me and said, is it really a state of mind? Maybe it's a state of being, because when you're in love, you're performing those acts. But then also maybe being Black is a state of mind too, because I always like to remind you is that the Egyptians, they refer to themselves as Kametru or Kamiyu, which means the Black people. And even though we know that the Egyptians were not just one complexion, so phenotypically they couldn't have been talking about being in a sense what we would consider racially Black, but they saw themselves as being Blacks, as opposed in a sense to other groups, But again, our definitions and how we see the world has been defined for us. And what do I mean by that? I mean by that is that growing up in America as prisoners of war, our concept of who we are, what we are, and where we are has often been defined by, the white supremacists. A lot of people say, Dr. Winters, we shouldn't really be talking about white supremacy or the white supremacists, but that's what they identified themselves as, right? They identified themselves as white supremacists. So then, therefore, we can't use that as, in a sense, a criterion to understand our relationship. But then we also have to realize that just as Neely Fuller has taught us, is that we are, in a sense, in a state of war. And the reason, in a sense, that we're in a state of war and that today we are prisoners of war is because of our origins, you see. Most of the people that came to the United States immigrated over here. In other words, in a sense, they came over here through their own volition. They came over here through their own free will. But most Black people, foundational Black Americans, how you doing, Melvin Reed? What up, though? I miss you. But again, hey, thanks for showing up tonight. But, we understand that we had a different origin. Because of the fact that we're descendants of the sub-Saharan Africans who were kidnapped from Africa, and the Black Irish who, in a sense, who were captured in war and sold as chattel slaves in the United States, and Aboriginal Black people who were also sold into slavery by other Black Indians, then therefore, in a sense, the FBA, at least the FBA who have in a sense, and who's a descendant of American slave, most of us, in a sense, have that tripartite origin: Black Irish, Black Aboriginal, and Sub-Saharan African. And we have that tripartite origin because of the fact, in a sense, that we've come from those different backgrounds. But at the same time, we carry this ancestry, and we recognize we're prisoners of war. We've also been a group of people who, because of the fact that we didn't voluntarily come over here, we've also been those people who've been the most prominent fighters against white supremacy. We're the ones who ignited, in a sense, this whole idea that Europeans shouldn't control the writing of history. It was people like W.B. Du Bois. And W.B. Du Bois, in a sense, he is, in a sense, the godfather of Afrocentric studies, because often we think about Anti-Diop of Senegal, and many of you have probably heard about Anti-Diop. What Anti-Diop did is that he reminded us of our ancient Black Egyptian origins and the importance of understanding meta-nature. But in a sense, if you really read the writings of Anti-Diop, you'll see that he goes back to who? W.B. Du Bois. When other brothers like George Jackson, when he did his fabulous research on ancient Black civilizations, he goes back to who? W.E.B. Du Bois. So W.E.B. Du Bois is the godfather. He's the godfather of Afrocentric history. A lot of you guys say to yourself, why, Dr. Winters, do you spend your time coming here, every week to talk about ancient history? You should be talking about geopolitics. Okay, good. And I could talk about geopolitics. I could talk about the war over there in Gaza. I could talk about, in a sense, what's happening in Africa and Senegal that they need, in a sense. They just elected a young leader. But see, that doesn't, in a sense, really situate us. You see, what situates us is the fact is that when you know what you've done in the past, that makes it obvious what you can do today and what you offer the future. And see, we offer the future a great deal. We offer the future a great deal. And the reason we offer the future a great deal is that we have to touch. We have to touch. When I was teaching, I taught in the Chicago public schools for 46 years. I taught at Governor State University about 10 and a half years. St. Xavier, I only taught there 3 years. But again, I have a varied teaching background. But the point is this, is that, how you doing, Brave Cold Water? What I like most about teaching, in a sense, in the public schools and teaching young people is that I wanted to touch them. You see, when I come to you every week, when I bring to you, in a sense, this information on the greatness of our ancestors, what I'm doing is that I'm hoping that somebody out there will be touched by something that I talk about, that somebody out there will be touched by something that I'm teaching, that they may, in a sense, want to take it a little further. It's very hard. I'm 73 years old. And I don't want to think about my mortality, but I mean, everybody says, oh, Dr. Winters, forget about that stuff. You can. No, nobody lives forever that I know about. And since nobody lives forever, what you have to do is that you have to realize that you need other people. You need other people. I'm so hopeful that somebody out there, some of you guys will take up the mantle of this research, will find something, and move with it. That's what I love about JP. JP, what makes JP so wonderful, yes, she's a part of my my Patreon, and I hope some of you guys will join my Patreon, because I need more Patreon members, because they help me to do the research. But what I love about JP is that JP, she got the desire to say, aha, I'm listening to Dr. Winters every week. I think I'd really like to know about Blacks in Southeast Asia. And she wrote a very good book on this, And the thing is this, is that it's just think about that. It's that here's somebody who was touched. And that's what this is all about. What this is all about is, number one, letting you guys know about our ancient history. Number two, it's about letting you know, in a sense, that you too can be, in a sense, an influencer in this period. We're at a very, 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 very beautiful time. Very beautiful time, And what makes this a very beautiful time is that because of the social media, the European cannot. You're welcome, JP. The European cannot, in a sense, just dictate what you know. You see, you can do whatever you want to do. You can spread the knowledge. You can get out there and you can help, teach other people about this stuff. And this is very important. I'll never forget Dr. Logan Nathan. Dr. Logan Nathan, he was a Tamil scholar, Dravidian scholar. And, Dr. Logan Nathan and myself, we're known, over in India as the people who really did a lot of research on the relationship between the Tamil language and Sumerian, the ancient language spoken in ancient Mesopotamia. And see, but the problem, one of the things that Dr. Logan Nathan brought up is that, why is it that it's the expats? Why is it that it's the people that's not living in the country, that's doing the research? Whereas Dr. Logan Nathan and myself was doing research, and now JP, she's doing research. We're doing research, on aspects of Dravidian history, Tamil Telugu, and yet the people in India, they're not doing the research for themselves. See, and this is kind of sad. But I mean, just like over here, it's many foundational Black Americans who have been the main writers of African history, you know. And what it means in a sense is that we have to understand is that you can contribute. You can take the mantle up. But see, this presentation and all of my presentations are meant to make you, in a sense, get somebody out there that says, damn, I want to take that idea a little bit further. Like JP did when she did her research on Southeast Asia. She has a very good book on that, you know. And the thing is this, is that, you see, that's what it's all about. When I was teaching, I always wanted to present to my students, especially when I taught a self-contained class. Let me tell you what, okay. Basically, I was mainly, I studied to be a social studies teacher. And as a social study teacher, you usually had to teach the upper grades. But for some reason, you know, the school that I was at, Bennett Elementary, and being at Bennett, I was there for about 21 years. Yeah, 21 years. And I usually had to teach a self-contained class. And what that meant is I had to teach the social studies, the science, the math, the English, all that type of stuff. And so then, you know, but I was still able to touch people. And see, that's the most important thing. And that's what this is all about. When you're coming here tonight, you see, I'm hoping that somebody out there will see something that just excites them and that they're going to take that information further, see. They're going to take it further. And then instead of just me talking about ancient history, we can have other people talking about ancient history like JP, you know, Caravan Sin, Yoshimad. Yes, other people can take this and take it further. Because see, I'm just one person. And yesterday I was feeling very weak, you know. And the reason I was feeling very weak is I was thinking about that is so much in the history of Black people around the world that needs to be researched, that needs to be written about, that needs to be publicized. And I just can't do it. But I'm hoping that some of you guys will do the research. I'm hoping that some of you guys, in a sense, will take what I'm doing and take it a little bit further, you know. But again, we're going to get into this. Tonight, I want to talk about the Olmec. As I told you before, is that there's no secret history out there, period. There's no secret history out there, period. The only thing that makes the history secret is that the European, in a sense, he tries to teach as though there's no connections. He wants to say that there's no diffusion, that there's no connection between the people in the old world and the people in the new world. And then he wants to say that the Maya and the Mayan languages, none of them, there's no native Mexican tribe that's called Maya. They just made that shit up, and they just call the people who speak the languages Mayans. But they just made that up. Each group that we call Mayan have their own language, and most of those languages have a Mandingo substratum. And so then, you know, what we need to understand, in a sense, is that there are these connections. That's why today I'm talking about the Mesoamerican calendar. Yes. In 2012, you know, back in 2012, I did an article. I wrote a paper. What was it, back in 1995, and I found a bilingual Olmec Mayan inscription. And these people, in a sense, they kept saying that the bilingual inscription. They kept saying that the bilingual inscription that I found, that I discovered, and that and they talked about that it was really talking about the end of the world in 2012. That's not what it was saying, but that's what they were trying. If you guys remember back when they were talking about the world is going to end in 2012, they were going off an inscription that I found and I deciphered, and it didn't have nothing to do with 2012. But the point is this: is that the European, he takes things, he runs with it, and he creates his own images. He creates his own imagery. He don't want you to know about the world. But what I'm going to talk about tonight is I'm going to explain to you how the so-called Mesoamerican calendar goes back to the Mandingo people. Some people like to say, Dr. Winters, you're always talking about the Mandingos. I'm sorry, but the Mandingo had a great influence. They had a great influence on the world. The Mandingo, they first came to the Americas 1200 BC when they began the Olmec civilization in Mexico. Then again, the Mande-speaking people came again in 1310, about 22,000, 80,000 people, came from Male, and they spread throughout the Americas. So the Mande have a great influence. So you guys sit back, and I'm going to go into this discussion. We're going to talk about the white man hates to admit that the black Olmec invented the calendar. Yes. When we think about the calendar, they talk about this calendar, the calendar that's used today by the people in Mesoamerica. And when I say Mesoamerica, I'm talking about that part of the Americas that go from Mexico down to Honduras, Belize, Guatemala. That's considered Mesoamerica. It's kind of that Middle American area. And this is where we found the Olmecs, who were the original people. Okay, as I've told you in earlier lectures, is that there's always been black people in the Americas. Even when the Olmecs came over here in 1200 BC, and they introduced pyramid building and writing, there was already some black tribes here. You see, some black tribes living in Mexico. But again, the Olmecs had a great contribution. In fact, that's why they call the Olmec civilization the Mande civilization. Let the researcher do research. Yes, let the researcher do research. And the point is this, is that I'm hoping that I can get more people involved in doing research. And I'm going to be teaching my research class beginning in a sense, April 16th. And I hope some of you will join me in my Afrocentric Research class.
Afrocentric Research Course.
You will learn how to interpret anthropological, historical, legal, genetic, and other forms of research literature. This is 30 hours of learning how to do qualitative and quantitative research methods. The course begins on April 16th. The class will be taught every Tuesday for 15 weeks. Join Dr. Winters' research class. Afrocentric Research Course. Become a researcher.
You can, again, go to Gumroad if you want to join my class. Just look at clyde98.gumroad.com, and it'll show you how to register for the class. Because, see, we want to let the researcher be the researcher. But anybody can be a researcher, and I'm serious. Anybody who's had 6th grade English can take my class and learn to be a great researcher. Because, when you go to high school, you don't really learn anything about grammar and research. Most of the time when you go to high school, all they teach you about is literature. So the class that is most influential in terms of teaching you how to write is your 6th grade class. That's why a lot of people, they think because of the fact that somebody has a college degree that they're just super. Yes, they have a college degree. They've earned that degree and they deserve recognition. But the point is this, is that anybody can be a researcher who learns how to do the research. You see, because just like to get a PhD, you don't get a PhD just because the fact you do coursework. No. You can do all the coursework you want, but you only get a PhD after you write a dissertation, Okay, I want you to go to my Patreon to see the slides. After this presentation, I'm going to put my slides for this presentation in my Patreon. And if you join my Patreon, you, in a sense, is helping me to do this research. When you join my Patreon, you're helping me to be able, in a sense, to do the work that allows me to be able to present to you these interesting historical experiences of Black people every week. Because, see, it's the people in my Patreon that provide me with the financial support and also the moral support to be able to do this research. So please join my Patreon. Please support me. I have to, in a sense, a lot of times to do this research, I like to keep it up to date. Because I like to keep it up to date, often I have to buy new books. And some of these books, they can cost, hundreds of dollars, A lot of times there's articles that are behind in a paywall, so I had to pay for that, And the the people in my Patreon, because they provide me with that financial support, just $5 is only $5 a month. Yes, it's only $5 a month to join my Patreon. But that $5 a month, when you have a lot of people in your Patreon, that allows me to be able, in a sense, to get those articles behind paywalls. That allows me, in a sense, to buy those books to keep this up-to-date research. Please join my Patreon. Please support me. You can. You're on my YouTube channel right now. Here I have over almost 400 videos on every aspect of Black history. Please watch my videos. If you have children or if you have relatives, get them to watch my videos so that they can understand and know about our great history. And I don't just have videos on foundational Black American history or on African history. I got videos I got tons of videos on Dravidian history, the history of the Tamil, the Telugu. And I got tons of I've got videos on the people in Australia, ancient and modern. I got tons of information on the Black people in Mesopotamia. Yes, this is my website right now. I hope that you can subscribe to this website. Go up there and touch that subscribe button, so you can whenever I'm about to do a video, you'll be told about it. So ring that bell, and also, in a sense, put a like on the video. Come on, like it. Why not? You can order my books at Amazon.com. All my books are published via Amazon.com independent press. So please go to Amazon.com to purchase any one of my books. And again, most importantly, join my Patreon. Help to keep me being able to do the research I do every week. Books to learn more about the Olmecs. I like to call the Olmecs the Neo-Atlanteans. Neo means new. So the Olmecs were the New Atlanteans. The reason I call them Atlanteans is because the fact is that they came from, in a sense, Saharan Africa. And as many of you know, they found in a sense that one of the centers of Atlantis was probably in North Africa. They found that site. So if you want to find more, get my book Atlantis in Mexico. If you want to find more about the Olmec language and literature, get my book, The Olmec Language and Literature, where I translate and I decipher many of the ancient inscriptions that the Olmec have left us. Yes, get these books. Get these books. The covers of my hardcover books were done by Yoshimad the genius. And as I said, this man is a genius. If you want to learn more about the relationship between African languages and just be able to note the relationship, get my book, Before Egypt, the Magan Federation, Africa's First Civilization. You can get my book, Archaeological Decipherment of Ancient Writing Systems. In my book, Archaeological Decipherment of Ancient Writing Systems, I show how, by learning and finding out about the Vai script, I was able, now listen to this, I was able to decipher the Minoan, the Proto-Sumerian, the Proto-Elamite, the Thinite inscriptions from ancient Egypt, the Proto-Saharan inscriptions that were done by the Libico-Berber people. Get this book, Archaeological Decipherment of Ancient Writing Systems, where I explain, in a sense, how I deciphered these languages and why I tell you every week, it's no mystery out there, you see. The European, they keep telling you that a lot of these languages aren't deciphered. That's because the fact is that I deciphered them. And since I'm not Caucasian, they don't want to give me credit. But the point is this, is that who cares? Who cares if they ever give me credit? I don't give a damn, because I care about you. And as long as I'm able to bring to you the knowledge that our ancestors have left us, if I'm able to bring to you the information that our ancestors want us to know, I am so thankful. I am so blessed. Yes, I am blessed. I am so blessed that I lived into this age of social media, that I lived into this age where you have various forms of social media so that you can take information and provide it to our people. Family, this is a wonderful time. This is a marvelous time. They got so much stuff on the internet now, they can't hide the pictures that the Aboriginal people of America were Black Indians or the Sumerians. They can't hide it anymore. And because they can't hide it, what I do is that I don't just want to, in a sense, show you pictures. That was the wonderful thing about Runoko Rashidi. Runoko Rashidi, he went around the world, and as a photojournalist, he took pictures of all these black people in these Black nations. But see, I like to take it further. I don't just want to show you the pictures. I want to tell you the story behind those people. I want to tell you how they got there. I want to tell you the civilizations. That's why I'm always writing books, and that's why I've written so many books, because the fact is that so much of our history has been hidden from us. And because so much of our history has been hidden from us, I have to kind of try to do the research. If you want to learn, in a sense, how to compare languages, you want to get my book, African Historical Linguistics, and the Diopian Comparative and Historical Linguistic Methods. Okay, if you go to school now, and sadly, if you want to learn comparative linguistics, most universities do not teach comparative linguistics. They teach applied linguistics, introductory linguistics, psycholinguistics, etc. But most programs, I have not seen a program yet, but it's probably some program, but most programs do not teach comparative linguistics. In other words, if you want to be a comparative linguist, you usually have to learn how to compare the various languages, on your own. And so my book, African Historical Linguistics, the Diopian Comparative and Historical Linguistic Methods. In this, I use examples from African languages. I use examples from Tamil. I use examples, in a sense, from African languages and all the ancient languages. And this is something important because usually when you learn comparative linguistics, they usually, in a sense, use as a model to interpret these ancient linguistics. They usually use the Indo-European languages. And those are the languages that are supposed to unite the various Indo-European speakers. But that Indo-European linguistics is bullshit. It don't really exist. It don't really exist. They always say that there's a relationship between the Greek and the Indian languages. Of course, there's a relationship between the Indian, the Indo-Aryan languages and Greece, because of the fact, in the sense that the Elamites or the Persians, they deposited a lot of Greeks in India. Yes, they deposited them in India. I wrote an article on that years ago. But again, like I said, is that it's all bull. But my book, because of the fact I give you examples from African languages, I give you examples from ancient languages, this is the only book that you can learn how to do comparative linguistics based upon African models. As I said, most of the time when you're learning about historical and comparative linguistics, it's using Indo-European languages. I use African languages. Then my book, Egyptian Language, The Mountains of the Moon, Niger-Congo Speakers, and the Origin of Egypt. In this, I explain how ancient Egypt was a Pan-African civilization. What I mean by that is that in many of the various cities along, or nomes, sipats, they used to call the various city-states along the Nile in Egypt as different nations, or sipats, or nomes. And that in each one of these nomes, it was different languages spoke. Mandingo here, Bantu there, whatever. And so then what I do in Egyptian language, the Mountains of the Moon, Niger-Congo Speakers, and the Origin of Egypt, I explain to you why there's a relationship between Meta Nature and various West African languages. And the reason for this is that many of the people migrated from Kemet, the Black Land, to West Africa. So get these books. All these books can help you if you're interested in learning more about African languages, ancient languages, and learning how, in a sense, to compare them and to judge them. Okay, then I've got a lot of books on ancient America, Atlantis and Mexico, African empires in ancient America. We are not just Africans, ancient American, ancient scripts in South America, the Mande in ancient America, the Black Mound Builders. Get these books, all of these books. Yes, all of these books can help you to learn more about, the various Black civilizations in the Americas. So, get these books, write down some of these titles. You can order any of my books at Amazon.com. And I especially would like you to get my book, History and Culture of the Black Aboriginals in America. This book I'm so proud of and I'm so excited about. And what makes me proud of this book and makes me excited about this book is the fact, in a sense, that it's the only book, in a sense, that tells you the history of the Black Aboriginals. And this is so important because the fact is, this is that, you got to get this.
So dreamy.
Hey.
So dreamy.
Hey. I've just written a new book, History and Culture of the Black Aboriginals of America. Yes, I've written a new book. This book is called History and Culture of Afro-Americans. It's about the Aboriginal Americans. It's about the first people who inhabited America. Many people don't know about our great culture, this super culture that we created, but I discussed this book. In 489 pages, you'll find out so much information, great information, about, in a sense, what the Aboriginal foundational Black Americans did. You're going to see, in a sense, that Black people contributed much here. When the first Europeans got here, that's what they found. Yes, they found Black Aboriginals inhabiting the Americas. It was the Black Aboriginals that built this country. This is why you had to get my book. Get my book, History and Culture of the Aboriginal Blacks of the Americas. In this book, you will find out the truth. You will know what we created. You will know who we are. Get this book. Buy it now. You can get this book. You can get it on an ebook, get it as an ebook. You can get it as a paperback. And also you can get the book as a hardcover edition. The hardcover edition of the book, I have an index. And in the hardcover edition of the book, it provides you, in a sense, with an index that lists all the some of the Black tribes discussed, the Aboriginal Black tribes discussed in the book, and it can lead you to get right to information right away. So you might want to get the hardcover edition of the book, but again, it's an ebook. You can get it as a paperback. But again, Black Olmec used an African calendar. Yes, they did. Let's discuss this. Let the researcher do the research. Yes. Let the researcher do the research. But that doesn't mean that you can't be a researcher. Join my class. The Olmec were Mande explorers who settled Mexico around 1100 BC. They spoke the Mande language and used the Mande writing system. The Olmec introduced the Mande calendar to the Red Indians in Mesoamerica. Yes. It's based on the Mande West African zodiacs that are based on the 13-month calendar. Yes, that 13-month calendar. Many of you guys probably didn't know, you see, that the Mesoamerican calendar is 13 months. But the reason it's 13 months is not that they just said, I'm going to make a 13-month calendar. No. They, in a sense, decided on having a 13-month calendar because they were, in a sense, trying to copy the calendar introduced by the Mande people who founded the Olmec civilization. Leo Viner, in Africa and the Discovery of America, wrote, and I quote, "In the first place, the central square contains the Mandingo tutelary god with his attributes and appurtenances. The numerical calculations based on 20 and 13, which is the essence of the American calendar, is surely built on African models. Here again, we possess but the scantiest material for verification, but just enough to be startling and unique." Yes. Back in the day, Leo Viner, he noticed it. He noticed, in a sense, that the Mesoamerican calendar, the calendar that was used by the Olmecs, well, the Olmecs originally, but by the Maya and other Mesoamerican people, was based on the 20-day, 13-month calendar of African people. But he couldn't do the research. No, he didn't have the evidence. But today, I can prove that they did have a calendar that came from the Mande people. Yes. You see, because that is what research is all about. Research is that, yes, I'm what's called a confirmationist. I believe in a sense in confirmation. As a researcher, you can never say anything is proven. You can say research is either confirmed or disconfirmed, you see. As a falsificationist, that means that I try to, in a sense, see if I can falsify data. To falsify data means that you disconfirm that data. But see, data is confirmed the more research or the more research that shows that an earlier theory is, in a sense, confirmed through the number of research. And so it was Leo Weiner in Africa and the Discovery of America that first talked about the possibility that, in a sense, the Olmec or the Mayan calendar was, in a sense, created by Black people. I know this is shocking to you. I know this is hard for you to believe, because just to think about the fact that it was a Black person who made that wheel, there was a Black person who made the calendar, it's kind of scary to you. And the reason it's scary to you is that you've been conditioned by Europeans, by the white supremacists, to believe that all Black people can do is wait for the European to come and teach them something. That's what they teach you. But no, we're the teachers. We're the inventors. Cohen Stone, reading the Mayan glyphs, wrote, and I quote, "The first part of a calendar round is the 260-day count, often called in the literature by the Arsat Maya name Deciphering. This is the eternally repeating cycle and consists of the numbers 1 through 13, permuting against a mini cycle of 20 named days. Since 13 and 20 have no common denominator, a particular day name will not reoccur with a particular coefficient until 260 days have passed. No one knows exactly when this extremely sacred calendar was invented, but it was certainly already ancient by the time the classic period began. There are still Highland Maya calendar priests who can calculate the day in the 260-day count, and it is apparent that the basic way of time reckoning has never slipped a day since its inception." Yes. Cohen Stone, these are supposed to be experts on the Maya glyphs. And here they tell you that they don't know where this 20-day calendar, 13 months came, you see? They said they don't know where it came from. But they don't know where it came from because they refuse to understand that they got this calendar from Black people like you, Black people like me, Black people like us. The refusal to look and to know and to be truthful is shameful. But the European can't tell you the truth. Because if he tells you the truth, then that means that you're somebody. Let's recap. Weiner noted the existence of 13-month, 20-day zodiacs among the Mande. Here's one of the Mande calabashes, because they used to put their calendars. They used to use calabashes, and they would make calendars with it. Okay. Let's recap. Wiener's noted the existence of 13-month, 20-day zodiacs among the Mande, who are the ancestors of the Olmec and the American sacred calendar of 20 days and 13 months. Cohen Montgomery says the 13-month, 260-day calendar continues to be used in Guatemala and other cultures up to today. Wiener explained how the Olmecs got their calendar when he illustrated that the Mande had a calendar with 13 months of 20 days, as evident from the Calabash zodiacs founded by Dr. Bork. This is one of the, if you look on the left-hand side, this is one of the zodiac calendars that Dr. Bork was able, in a sense, to publish. Olmec calendars are the result of a combination of climatic, social, and astronomical factors. The moon, seasons, and stars are used for reckoning time. The major star studied by the Mande is Sirius, and I know that Sirius. And I know that you've heard about the Sirius because you've heard about the Dogon. But many people don't understand that the Dogon recognize that they're either part of the Mande people or that they got much of their culture from the Mande people. The Olmec, like the Mande, has several calendars, i.e. a lunar, ritual, and etc. calendars. The Mande system of notation is based on 20, 60, and 80 according to G. Dittelin in Essai sur la religion bambara. Aspects of the Olmec notation system is found among most West Africans. Griollet in Signes Graphiques des Dogons made it clear that the number 80 also represented 20. 80 divided by 20 equal 20. 20 times 4 equal 80. And it's probably relates to the Mande people. See our temples, the Sirius mystery. This book was published in 1976. So when you look at that picture, on the right-hand side, it's kind of meant to allow you to understand how Black people are always have been looking at the stars. They've always, in a sense, been monitoring the stars. They've been looking at Sirius to be, in a sense, in conformity with the universal concept of man, you see. The universal concept of mankind. And that's by knowing the stars, knowing what's happening in the heavens, because what happens in the heavens can affect us on earth. I know I was looking at this article and I was listening to Lisa Cabrera, of the New Black Media, and she's talking about the fact that some of the people seem to have somehow been affected by the recent eclipse. Yes, some people, for some reason, some of the women that menstrual cycle came early or started or whatever, and then other people, in a sense, are having headaches or whatever. But again, in a sense, it was our ancestors, the Mande people, the Dogon people, who were able, in a sense, to study the stars, and they understood how there's a relationship between the Black man, the Black woman, and the stars. That's why we call, in a sense, you see, when we call, in a sense, a Black woman a goddess, we're not calling her a goddess just for some bullshit. We're calling her a goddess is because the fact is that it was a Black woman who invented the calendar. It was a Black woman, in a sense, who studied the heavens. It was a Black woman, in a sense, because the fact that she wanted to study and know when her menstrual cycle would begin, that we have a calendar today, you see. Yes, now men dominate in those areas, but we dominate mainly because women allow us to dominate. But don't get it twisted. It was the mother goddess. It was the Black woman who gave us this knowledge and allowed us to move forward and understand the heavens, the stars. The Dogon claim they got their calendric system from the Mande, or Malinki Bambara speakers. The importance of the number 20 is evident in the discussion of the trajectory of the star Digitaria around Sirius, as illustrated in Figure 3. This picture on in a sense, the left-hand side is kind of a surreal picture, but maybe in a sense get you to understand how we've got this whole idea of the star Digitaria. This, in a sense, note the small cluster of 20 dots in the figure that represent the star when it is furthest from Sirius. This is an illustration about that explains the star Digitaria as it goes around Sirius. And as you can see, those 20 dots in the far right-hand corner. That's, in a sense, supposed to represent this relationship, you see. And then DP, and then we have S. Those are to represent, in a sense, the Sirius. And so, Sirius has always played an important role in the history of Black people. In fact, many of the monuments in Mesoamerica and in Africa, you see, are directly correlated with the Sirius star. The base of the Olmec calculation is 60. 60 divided by 20 equals 3. 3 times 20 equals 60. Like other Mande and Dogon speakers, the Olmec term, yes. The Olmec term for 20 is Muga. The Olmec term for 60 is Debe ni Muga, or 40 plus 20 equals 60. So in other words, in a sense, we find that there was this multiplication, but we moved on a cycle of 20, you see. And so this is how when they're trying to calculate time, in Mesoamerica, they took the Dogon Mande Mande system of mathematics, you see, and they began, in a sense, to understand that they wanted to use their calculations based upon the number 20, or Muga in the Olmec language. In the figure of the Kanaga sign, that's the sign, the sign that you can see. This is called, in a sense, the Kanaga sign. It illustrates the base notation of 20 and 60. The head, tail, and 4 feet each represent 20, i.e., 6 times 20 equal 120. 120 divided by 60 equal 2. The calculations of Segui also indicates the Mande notation system of 20 and 60 as illustrated in this figure. So as you can see, each point is like 20, then the middle one 20, then the bottom one 20, then we go to the other end 20, middle 20, the bottom 20. So we end up with, in a sense, with the notation of 20 and 60. Further confirmation of the base 20 notation in relation to the Sirius system is the Kosa Wala. For example, on the Kosa Wala, we have 10 sequences made up of 30 rectangles. That's the, if you look in the middle picture is the Kosa Wala. And this is also used in the notation system of the Dogon and the Mande. And this notation system was transferred when the Olmec came over to the Americas to the people in Mesoamerica. So I'll begin again. Further confirmation of the base 20 notation in relation to the Sirius system is the Kosa Wala. For example, on the Kosa Wala, we have 10 sequences made up of 30 rectangles. 10 times 30 equals 300, which can be divided by 20. 300 divided by 20 equals 15, and 60. 300 divided by 60 is 5. And as noted by Grole and Diderlin, in addition to the above 20 rectangles in the Kosa Wala, they represent stars and constellations. Again, if you want to find out more about this, get our Temple's book, The Sirius Mystery. He breaks down a lot of this stuff. The Mayan system, like the Olmec main system, is also based on 60 and 20. For example, as you know, the basic part of the Hab year is the Tun, 18-month, 20-day calendar, plus the 5-day month of Wayib. The basic unit of Mayan calculation is the Tun, made up of 18 Wanil, which is months, or 20 Kin, or 360 days. Thus, we have 18 times 20 equal 360. 360 divided by 60 equals 6. Next, we have the Katun, 20 tunes, which equals 7,200 days. 7,200 days divided by 60 equal 120. Divided by 60 equal 2. Or 72,000 divided by 20 equal 360. Divided by 60 equal 18. Do you see how in a sense, the Mesoamericans, when they began to copy, see, this was a copy of what the Mande were doing in Africa and the Dogon, and what they're doing today. Today, in a sense, today most of the many of the people in West Africa have become Muslim. Because they become Muslims, many, unless they're traditional people, some of them are moving to the Islamic calendar instead of, in a sense, the traditional calendar that was used in West Africa. That's still, in a sense, being conducted by the people, the Dogon people, who continue the practices. At the Kun comes Baktun. A Baktun equals 400 tun, or 144,000 days. 144,000 days divided by 60 is 2,400. Divided by 6 equals 40, or 144,000 divided by 20 equals 7,200, divided by 20 equals 360, divided by 20 equals 18. Do you see how the math, we still always come back to what? That year of 360. Very interesting, isn't it? In addition to a similar Mayan Olmec number system, the Olmec also had the 0. The Mayan symbol for 0 means what? Completion. I repeat, The Mayan symbol for zero means completion. Mgrieli, in Science de Escritura Bambara, says the Malinki Bambara Olmec sign for zero is fu. And what is fu? Nothing. Isn't zero nothing? The emptiness preceding creation. So again, in a sense, you can see that often the European, he likes to teach you that Black people didn't have any higher mathematics. Black people didn't know about the zero. They didn't know about, in a sense, that a zero even existed. But as you can see, they did. In Griole Signs de Écriture Bambara, we find out, in a sense, that the sign for zero is fu, which is nothing, because isn't zero nothing? But can you see how it's sad, you see? Because, see, to understand a lot of our history, you have to sometimes be able, in a sense, to read foreign languages, because some of all the knowledge is not in English, and we're English speakers. And because all the knowledge is not in English, then if you can't read a foreign language, then that knowledge can be separated from you. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people say, "Well, Dr. Wentz, why don't you stop that ish? Why don't you stop writing all these books?" I have to write these books because I have got so much information by studying the various languages that I can interpret a lot of this stuff. And I'm trying to interpret this history so that you can get just a little touch of it, see? By me writing these books, and I hope that you'll buy my books and support my books, what it does is that it allows you, in a sense, to get an understanding of what's been hidden from you. You see? What's been hidden from you. You never knew that this calendar that they brag about down in Mexico, the so-called Mayan calendar, you never knew that calendar was invented by Black people like you, Black people like me, Black people like us. In summary, the Olmec notation system of 20 and 60 is also the system of the Maya. The Maya name for day is Kian Hain, and it's related to the Bambara term. You know what the Bambara term for day is? Kine. Mayan, Kin, Hain, Bambara, Malinki Bambara, Kine, daylight day. So you can see, in a sense, is that they even took the words from the Mande to interpret their math. The Mayan term for a series of 360 days is Tum. This corresponds to the Mande term Dona, an arrangement of days and dates. The Mande term for calendar is Doglia La. Yes. The Mayan calendar is descended from the Olmec calendar, which in a sense is the Mande or Dogon calendar that was used by the ancient West African people, and they brought it to the Americas. The Olmec calendars are the result of a combination of climatic, social, and astronomical factors. The moon, seasons, and stars are used for reckoning time. The major star studied by the Mande is Sirius, which is the main star that was studied by who? The Mesoamericans, the people in Mesoamerica. This is something that I found very important. Mats play an important role in Mande calculations, and is found inside of the Kanaga sign. The mat and mat motifs play an important role in Mayan society as well. The Majara stela gives us keen insight into the Olmec calendars. This is the on the left-hand side, you can see the Moyara stela. There's a frontal inscription written in hieroglyphs and a side inscription written in syllabic Olmec signs. I took the time to decipher the monument and found it tells the story of an Olmec king named Yope. It also has a date. In the inscriptions, we are told that King Yope was born around 143 BC. 143. It should be noted that dots and bars can represent both numbers and lexical items. So this is the Mujara inscription. I had deciphered this years ago. You can find, I discuss it in my book, Olmec Language and Literature, if you want to find out more about it. Here's the stela. This is how the stela looks. And on the left-hand side, we have, in a sense, a drawing of it. And on the right-hand side, you can see the inscription. So as you can see, a lot of these inscriptions, they don't show up so good as photographs. But again, that's one of the reasons why you need a drawing, or you need to be able to get access to this stuff. But as you know, much of the best stuff on the history of our people is in some university basement, or at some museum basement. And a lot of times, if you're not part of the university, or if you're not a researcher that they recognize, you can't get it. So a lot of times we had to look at the knowledge and the information from a distance. We had to look at the publications and try to use these publications to break into get an understanding of what's going on. Again, this is the inscription, and this is the King Yope. Here you can see, in a sense, you can see the stela on the left hand side, and you can see, in a sense, how the artist's recreation. You can see it's hard to see those inscriptions just by looking at this photo. That's why, in a sense, you need the drawing. And it's the drawing, in a sense, that can allow you to look at these inscriptions. La Mayor stela number 1 is a Mesoamerican carved stela dating from 143 CE, Christian era. It is a stela dedicated to King Yope. It was discovered in 1986, pulled from the Acula River near La Morada, Veracruz, Mexico, not far from the Tripartite archaeological site. The 4.5 foot wide, 1.4 meter by 6.5 foot high, 2 meter, 4-ton limestone slab contains about 535 glyphs of the what they call the Isthmian or Epi-Olmec script. They call it it's really just the Olmec script, but then the script, any writing that dates from the Christian era, they try to say that that's Epi-Olmec. So that's why they talk about Epi-Olmec as opposed to the Olmec. But you can read any of these inscriptions that the Olmecs left if you get my book, Olmec Language and Literature. It can teach you the Olmec language. This sister, she used to teach a class. She used to use my book to teach a class, and she had a large group of people that were studying Olmec, and I found that very interesting. I have numbered the columns on the stela. As you can see on this picture, I numbered them. I got the numbers go on the left side and the numbers on the right side. This is how I numbered the stela, and this was published back in the 1990s. And I translated the various inscriptions. So we're going to discuss it a little bit. The Olmec dates are made up usually of the bar and dot pattern without the isig. Even without the isig, researchers have determined reliable dates for the Olmec artifacts. This suggests that using the tzalkin, you can determine a date without employing an isig. This is why I maintain that the lupi sign is the lexical item rather than the isig. The isig is what they say is that there's supposed to be telling you what the inscription is about. If you notice, if you look at the picture, on the right hand side, you can see under one, I put a box around the lupi sign. This is very interesting because this lupi sign tells us a whole lot about the mystical powers that this king had. This Epi-Olmec or Mayan king had. In row 1, reading from right to left, we get Itai Kio, Ipokisi, Itakio. Thou sacred rising as a vital spirit exists now. Thou the pure protector, or you are pure, Kise. Badayo, the great Dayo. Sepo Dayo, the victorious and pure Dayo. Da is like saying serum. It's just like da was a term that the Olmec people used in a sense for their elites. They would call them the da. Okay, row 1, Potu. Number 4, Potu. Pure birth was on 585335. That's May 21st, 143 AD. He was the Sigao. Thou art the Sigao. This is very important. Then we see it's the snake. Sigao is a surname given to an infant whose people ascribe the intervention of a divinity. In other words, this king, Yope, was considered a Segyo. Seyo. This is a very important person. Okay, when you are, this is we're looking at this inscription again. This is we're reading it from the wavy sign I talked about, and we're going down. And what this says is, "Thou sacred rising exists now. Thou art the pure protector, the great Dayo, the victorious and pure Dayo. Pure birth was on May 21st, 143 AD. Thou art the Seyo, thou the snake." You know, again, in a sense, is that if you notice the Egyptians and many other groups, even you know the Nagas in Southeast Asia, a lot of times they often talk about the snake. Serpent worship is very important to many of these ancient civilizations. If you remember, in a sense, like on Tutankhamun, he has the snake over his pineal gland, and then you know when you look at the 25th dynasty, a lot of times they have snakes on the forehead, and this snake, in a sense, relates in a sense to the fact that they're into an understanding of the secrets of Dagashin. Nagashin was supposed to be the name of the great serpent, but again, that's another story. In row 2, we read Nipo, Kyugyo, Potu, Yopo, Yopobo, Pota, Monkey 2, Yopa, Po, Ta, Selula, Tukutu, Yope. And what this reads, in a sense, is this. This is the translation. The pure house, the big hemisphere sepulcher, that's the burial pyramid, is a talisman. Pure King Yo is pure moral grandeur and a pure propriety. The monkey king, Yo, has much purity. The devotee is pure. To realize and hold upright a good situation. The king and governor is obedient to the law. Oh, Yope. So again, in a sense, you know, what you notice in is a sense is that the Olmec, as many of the many other African writing systems, their writing system was monosyllabic. That means, in a sense, is that they had words like ni, po, yo, tu, and that each of these monosyllabic, you know, terms were words, and that's why you can translate nipo, kyugyo, potu, yopo, bopota, monkey 2, yo, papo, ta, selula, tukultu, yope, can be translated the pure house, the big hemisphere sepulcher, the burial pyramid. That's what the hemisphere sepulcher, you know, that's the burial pyramid, is a talisman. Pure King Yo is pure moral grandeur and a pure propriety. The monkey king, Yo, has much purity. The devotee is pure. To realize and hold upright a good situation. The king and governor is obedient to the law. Oh, Yope. See, so again, in a sense, we can see, you know, how Yope was such a strong, recognized God, and how you can break this down, because see, one of the reasons why the European claims that you cannot read the Mayan writing, because of the fact, in a sense, is he takes everything as a picture. And he doesn't understand that various syllabic signs were joined together, and they join together these syllabic signs to be able, in a sense, to form these related pictures. But when you break down the syllabic signs, you're able, in a sense, to be able to see what their meaning is. And I learned this when years ago when I found a bilingual Olmec Mayan inscription, and then this it was a text. It was a text. I guess a school child was learning how to write, you know, hieroglyphics, and it had the Olmec. It had, in a sense, the Olmec syllabic signs on one side, and it had, in a sense, the hieroglyphic character on the other. And I learned this through a bilingual Olmec Mayan text. Here's another part of it, you know. Potu, pepe ingebe, yope, papa po, yebe, papa, yope, pepope, dayoda, Lumatu Yope. And this reads, the pure king, he has prodigious purity and virtue. The pure Yo, very much purity and virtue is due. Yope, very much admiration for thy Yo, at this moment the king. Hold upright spiritual tranquility for the ruler and cult leader, Yope. Yes, yes, yes. I know you probably say to yourself, you mean those words, those little monosyllabic terms, po, tu, pepe, ngebe, yope, papa, poge, papa, yope, pepope, dayoda. You mean those syllabic signs have that meaning? Yes. Yes, they do have that meaning. See, that's why a lot of times you have to learn foreign languages so you're able, in a sense, to be able to look at this stuff, because as I tell you guys every week, is that our ancestors left us so much knowledge. Nothing is hidden from us, you see. But the European, he hides it from us because he doesn't want to admit our grandeur. He doesn't want to admit how intelligent and smart we are. Nyama is a co-power, a special energy of supernatural origin. Nyama is considered the source of power behind every task. Among the Mande or Olmec, the pinnacle of potency is the knowledge of sorcery. Sorcery is important among the Mande Olmec, says McNaughton, because, and I quote, for the vast majority of sorcery, Mande sorcery, provide a means for analyzing situations and a tool for responding to them. And these people can be quite open about their use of it. Yes, yes, yes. P.R. McNaughton in the Mande Blacksmiths, Knowledge, Power, and Art in West Africa. This book gives us keen insight into Mande traditional beliefs and help explain much of the Olmec social concepts and religion. If you remember, last week I talked about the Olmec religion, and I showed you how the Olmec religion was nothing but the transference of the ancient Mande religion from Africa to Mexico. And now you can see that the Mande people, they not only in a sense transferred pyramid building, writing, they also in a sense brought the calendar to Mexico. I must clarify reading line 1. Instead of translating the middle sign as ipokise, I believe it should read ipokalisi. In the earlier decipherment of the Lupi sign, I failed to include transliteration of the dot sign, li. The lexical item li is represented by the black dot inside of the middle symbol. Since li is in the middle of the figure, I am reading the sign as si instead of say. Thus we have kilisi, reading the sign as followed. Ipokalisi, we have thou pure secret speech. And so this is so as you can see this wavy sign, I think it's very important because we see that Yope was a very, very mystical. That's why they called him the Sigyao, because he was a very mystical person. Kalisi means secret speech. Kalisi is a potent formula of human sounds, rich with supernatural energy. It is Kalisi that provides an object with Nyama. You have to understand, in a sense, is that's why if you remember, when you read the Bible, it says, in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was with God, or the Creator. See, remember this. Family, remember this. As long as a word is in your mind, as long as the word is in your mind, or you're thinking about that word has no existence. That thought in a sense has no potency, no legitimacy. But once you speak a word, then that word in a sense, it has power. I read this one thing once when it talked about the fact is that every word that was ever spoken by everybody on the planet is still in the universe. That's one of the reasons that we can go to the Akashic records, and we can, in a sense, go to these records that our ancestors made and be able to draw that information down, because all knowledge is always existing. But the reason that many of us can't access this knowledge is that we want to access this knowledge from a white man perspective. We want to access this knowledge as if there's no relationship among Black people. There is a relationship among Black people. The Egyptians, they said they were Blacks. So if you run away from calling yourself Black or being B1, how are you going to get the knowledge? You're not going to have access to the knowledge. And you're not going to have access to the knowledge because the ancestors aren't going to be able to relate to you. You see. Thusly, I can retranslate it. The pure house, the big hemisphere sepulchre, burial pyramid is a talisman. Pure King Yope is pure, moral grandeur, a pure propriety. The monkey king, Yo, has much purity. The devotee is pure, to realize and hold upright a good situation. The king and governor is obedient to the law. Oh, Yope. The monkey figure probably has an important meaning in this inscription, because remember, I translate the monkey figure as a monkey. The monkey figure probably has an important meaning in the inscription, and it may represent an emblem. Among the Mande, Sulao monkeys, Sulao or monkey indicates the initiate's awareness of his own animality. This suggests that Sula, too, in row 2 should read a king aware of his animality. In other words, in the sense that, I guess it's almost like the, the Indians, they always talk about their animal totem. Most ancient Africans had a totem too, And in fact, sometimes we used to give our own people totems, like you might say, that's Red Fox. He acts like a fox, or he acts like a monkey, or, he's like a bull. He's always storming into things. You can see how these nicknames, these things, in a sense, go back, you see. And again, in a sense, that's one of the reasons why you have to look at the intricacies of language. If you want to find out more about the Olmec religion, if you want to learn how to read the Olmec language, get my book, Olmec Language and Literature. It appears that the first date relates to the birth of Yope, who was recognized as CEO. The inscription makes it clear that Yope was recognized as a god and the leader of his people's religion. To understand the designation of Yope as Segyo is explained by Mande traditional culture. As I said earlier, I made a mistake and translated Pegyo as Segyo. Reading the sign as Pegyo tells us that Yope was considered a powerful religious specialist in addition to being the king. I do not believe the Lupi sign was an initial series character. This is what, the people who originally so-called translated this inscription, which they really didn't translate because they can't read shit anyway. It was just a description of the potent supernatural power Yope possessed. As says Yope appears to have had great knowledge of sorcery or nyama. Say, or the foundation, represents the beginning of knowledge. The say symbolizes beginning and advance of success and power. The say represents man's progression in pursuit of knowledge. Since say means foundation and yo is spiritual knowledge, Sejo would be the foundation of spiritual knowledge. Yes. Again, as I said, get my book, Olmec Language and Literature. The left column shows a snake and the possible long count date of 8/5/1697 or 156 AD, June 23rd, 156 AD by one calculation. This suggests that Yope was recognized as Satigi, master of snakes, on this date. See, because if you notice in this inscription, look at the left hand, the far left hand column, and you can see that snake up there. And this is when he would have been recognized as Satigi, master of the snakes. That means that he was a master of total knowledge. Yepo was a Satigi, master of snakes. In relation to the serpent snake in the inscription, it does not relate to a date. The Sa or snake's body forms the Sa sign. The snake rests on the Yolo sign. Thusly, we have the association of the snake with the Sa-Yo signs, indicates that we have Se-Yo, or the foundation of spiritual knowledge. As a result, I believe that Yepo was Sagige, master of snakes. Among the Mande, the snake is used in divination. The snake diviner studies the replies or movements which he mystically interprets to answer clients' questions. The Satiki communicated with the snakes for numerous purposes, e.g. to foresee the future events and to obtain secret knowledge. Because he shares a supernatural bond with the serpent, the Satiki is recognized as one of the most powerful diviners of the Mande people, and he has the ability to perform supernatural acts. Again, this is the, this is why I said that Ayepo was the Sagige. It is safe to say that Yope had immense supernatural power. Thus his nickname, Seyo. He was also a Satigi, and thus could see into the future and obtain supernatural knowledge via his snake totem. As a result of this, I do not believe that Seyo, snake, is a day sign. These signs probably relate to the immense supernatural power of Yope. Again, I hope you learned something from this inscription. And these slides will be in my Patreon. So go to my Patreon to see the slides. I'm on Twitter at Dr. Clyde Winters 8. Follow me on TikTok.com, Clyde Winters 3. And you can view my shorts. I got a lot of shorts on YouTube. And I got a lot of shorts on TikTok. Check out my shorts. Check out my videos here on Clyde Winters YouTube videos. Come to my channels. Join my Patreon. Please help me out. Please support me in my research efforts. You can order my books at Amazon.com. Again, get my book, History and Culture of the Black Aboriginals. And other books is The Ancient Black Civilization of Asia, Black History Gems. These go along with some of the various talks that I gave with Reverend Matthews. And naturally, my book, The World History of the Black Race. This book describes everything. Okay, it's very important in a sense is that you guys support Yoshimad, because Yoshimad, this man in a sense, he is a genius. He in a sense is giving us information that can only help us to be in a sense much greater people, Again, you had to be B1, black first. Hug the nearest black person to you. Hug your mama, hug your lover, hug your sister, hug your brother. Love is the only thing that can help us to be successful. It's only by being B1 that we're going to be able, in a sense, to stop the oppression that we suffer through all of this sadness. And most importantly, in a sense, we have to understand the God principle that Yoshi is talking about here.
Spiritual essence equals zero. I never change, remain the same. My respect for nature in my brain. The Black American experience is the most traumatizing experience that any other human has ever experienced. ETSS, RBTS, IV, B68, HF, and RBF. Racial battle fatigue. How many times was my family wept because they can't can't see. Slaughter us on camera, offer us help. And I see us saying, Master help. Imposter syndrome, dead nature. They never wanted the mean, just wanted our wealth. Lazy, pathetic, inbred. Criminals, murderers, half dead. Straight out the ice age. On another masquerade. With one purpose to divide and conquer. Most of us come from a sunken place. Shadow work will return us back in shape. Back then, even now, they still the best. And I upgraded and I remain the best of best. Can't keep us from thinking. On the cool, we let they ship sinking. No religion, sex addiction, food addiction, death addiction, substance, self-help addiction.
You know, again, you know, support Yoshima. He is the genius. How you doing, YouTube Academia? Prince Arcane, what up, though? Zachary Holmes, D. Dennis, how you doing? Eugene Bruna, Sir Leroy, what's up, though? Create So Far, where you been, baby? Where you been? You know, and it's very important. What do you say? Create So Far. Create So Far says Ice Cube told and scolded the white man when he said black women have bodies like goddesses, sort of like Venus, but put away your penis. Yes, sirs. Get up. They look like Venuses. Put away your penis. Rhyme, baby. Rhyme. Thank you, Create So Far. You know. How you doing, Finbar Jean-Marie? CGI Kid Productions. What is CGI Kid Productions said? Many of the black Europeans were classified as white men in terms of social status. So many of those Europeans had prejudice because they felt that they were better than the Negroes. No. You had to it's more complicated by that. It's more complicated than that. Negroes, they did not call, they identified in a sense many Europeans as black, phenotypically black in terms of their color, their hue. They in a sense identify many Aboriginals as in a sense black given the color of their skin. But they did not talk about people based upon their skin color. It was a nationality. It was a nationality. The Europeans were called what? Europeans based upon whatever nation they came from. You know, the black Aboriginals, they were called in a sense colored people, or they were identified by the tribe that they belonged to, Choctaw Cherokee. Whereas everybody from Africa was called Negro. That's why Negro became the nationality of the people who had come from Africa. It wasn't in a sense originally a color term, you know. CGI Kid Productions. Those black Europeans were very dastardly brilliant in a sense that they created the white man to shield themselves from responsibility of wrongdoing. They were more pure than the Negro. No, in a way, you had to understand they didn't identify with each other. You see, they didn't identify with each other. One of the biggest things going on now is over here in the United States. We call ourselves foundational Black Americans, whereas other people call themselves Jamaicans or Ghanaians. And then then you'll find the Ghanaians don't like the Nigerians. Then in Nigeria, the Igbo don't like the Yoruba, who don't like the Hausa, who don't like none of them. You see, and so we're always being tribalistic. We're always being nationalistic. That's what was going on back then. Those black Europeans, even though they had a black phenotypical features, even though they had dark skin, they did not identify with those Africans who were enslaved. Those Africans who came over here as indentured servants, they didn't identify with the black Indians. Even though they all had a dark hue, they looked at each other as a nationality. That's one of the things that keep us in trouble today. You see, today, instead of many people in America wanted to identify themselves as B1 or black first, we got to be what? Black Hebrews. We got to be black Jews. We got to be black, we got to be a Jew, a Hebrew, or a Christian, or a Moor, or a Muslim, or whatever. We every damn thing except being B1. That's why I always talk about being B1. That was a beautiful term created by Professor Black, in the sense that we're black first by saying we're black first, that unifies all of us. That's one of the reasons why I prefer to identify myself as a foundational Black American. Because by identifying as a foundational Black American, then that's uniting all the people who were Choctaw, Seminoles, who originally had Black Irish ancestry, who in a sense came from sub-Saharan Africa, you know. By saying we're B1, Black first, then we're all one people, you see. And we got to run away from that we got to run away from separating each other. You know, I do not understand. I'll not understand why Black people is so hard. It's so hard for us in a sense. It's so hard for us. So hard for us as Black people to want to unify. How you doing, Jade Sukra? Chemistry, Black Magic. It's so hard for us. We got to unify. You know, Carol, thank you. Thank you, you know, for your support. JP says, thank you so much, Dr. Winters. We had high mathematics and great languages. We are highly spiritual people, which is what your translation shows. That's right, it does. But see, the whole point is that there's so much. Tones 5. This brother in a sense, Tones 5, he has some very important stuff. This man makes some jewelry. You guys should check it out.
Sister, go touch your heart with a dinner rose. Shake the spirit one time, it gets old glow. She gon' take me out of space into another zone. Some spirit, she ain't messing with them petty hoes. Microwaves and cobalt outside her phone. Funkadelic vibe, smoking good on that drone. Call me eat the night with the cuz all up in a fro. This queen approach, she gon' drop it low to the flow. You know she liquid gold with the alchemy in the bowl. Trippy super soul is the greatest tale never told. She gon' get you right, you can set up a point of goals. You gon' spend the night in the harmony with your toes. You know she's super fun and the aura down to her bones. Super magic fairy, I'm lost in the rituals. She give me life like butterflies on the rose. Really rich and old, ain't nothing like cracker trolls. Sitting in the clothes, an extraterrestrial. And she never fold, drop crackers up in the throat. She drink your wine, she rock you up like a pole. And she spark my mind with intellectual propose. Shake butter oils and linger up in your nose. Independent goddess like rhythm up in the soul.
Yellow honey, drip slow. Sweet agave at the toe. Independent finance, wine, citrus mist. My Wonder Woman, I wonder how to.
You got to support Tones 5. The brother has some beautiful jewelry. It's based upon, you know, what I liked about his stuff is that, you know, they've done excavation in the various mounds that was built by our Aboriginal ancestors over here in America. And what he's done is that Tones 5 has been able, in a sense, Tones 5 has been able to take this and be able, in a sense, to make jewelry based upon our authentic models of our ancestors. Yes, you know, it's very important that we understand this. That jewelry looks nice. It is nice. Check out his site. Again, in a sense, is that, you know, we are very creative. I remember when I was growing up. I remember back in the 80s and 90s, when a lot of Hebrews, they used to make all these oils and various smelling stuff. You know, I mean, it's good. I mean, we're clean people. But again, if you have any questions, about the Olmec writing, the Olmec calendar, you can put it in the chat now, and we'll discuss it. But as you can see, these languages are no secret. They're no secret, you see. They're no secret. The European, he makes everything seem secret. And the reason that he makes everything seem like it's hard to understand is because he doesn't want to admit that it was Black people who invented the inscriptions. It's Black people who invented the writing. It's Black people who invented this stuff. They've had writing, listen. We've had writing for over 10,000 years. You know, the earliest inscriptions are thinite inscriptions. And these inscriptions go back to, Göbekli Tepe. Yes, Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. Because, see, that site was built by the Anu people. And I think I'm going to do a lecture pretty soon on the Anu people. The Anu people, these were the small-statured people who we call the Twa, or the European call the Pygmies, and the Khoisan. These people, in a sense, had a great civilization. Stop it. Stop it. Stop believing everything that Europeans tell you. I'm not saying that some of the stuff that they're teaching is right, because some of it is right. But because of the fact, in a sense, they want to, in a sense, bogart their way into our history, because of the fact, in a sense, they want to create a history in which they're a part of, and a history in which Black people don't play a role. That's why we learn all these lies. That's why we learn all this falsehood, you see? And they teach these falsehoods because they don't want to know what you can do. Remember, family, when I'm teaching you about what our ancestors did, that's not a coincidence. Because if they did it then, that means that you can do it today. You can do it today. Foundational Black Americans are the new Egyptians. We invented what? We invented a cell phone. We made it so that people could get on the internet and use the internet. Yes, we were the first ones to do that. You see? We made the resistor that every device is made of today. We made the light bulb work. We made the telephone work. We made the electric train. Street lights. That's all our culture. Our culture is being invented. Our culture, we are the new Egyptians. Foundational Black Americans are the new Egyptians. The reason we're the new comedians, they're coming true. They're coming you. The reason that we're the new Blacks, foundational Black Americans, dominate is because the fact is that we're not just a product of Aboriginal America. We're not just a product of Africa. We're not just a product of Europe. We have a tripartite origin. Aboriginal, American, African, and Black European. We're from those. We're tripartite. We are the new Egyptians. That's why everybody's always looking at us. That's why everybody's always following us. That's why we're so inventive. That's why we're always doing so much. We can do so much. We can do so much because we accept the reality, you see. JP wrote a fine book on Southeast Asia. You see? Think about it. That was a center. Southeast Asia used to be a center of Dravidian culture, a center of Exumite culture. I'm going to talk about those things. The Nagas. See? But by me talking about this, that touched her. And that meant in the sense that because of the fact that some of her ancestors came from South Asia and Southeast Asia, that she could draw back and she could feel those people. She could feel them because her ancestors were there, and her ancestors began to speak to her. And I'm going to tell you something, family. That's just one book JP wrote. She's going to write some more books. Because, see, if she was touched by that group of ancestors, she's going to be touched by other ancestors, you see. That's why I teach the research class. I teach the research class to allow you to understand how to be able to be a researcher. See, the only difference between you and a person with a PhD is that they wrote a document. They wrote a dissertation or a thesis. See, if you don't never write a thesis, if you don't never write a dissertation, you won't get your PhD because you can take all the classes you want at a university. But the only way you get the PhD is you learn how to research. That's what I do in my research class. My research, I help the people who join my class to learn how to do research. Join my class. Join my research class.
Afrocentric Research Course.
You will learn how to interpret anthropological, historical, legal, genetic, and other forms of research literature. This is 30 hours of learning how to do qualitative and quantitative research methods. The course begins on April 16th. The class will be taught every Tuesday for 15 weeks. Join Dr. Winters' research class. Afrocentric Research Course. Become a researcher.
Yes. Join that class. It can help you. It can help you in a sense to learn how to do research, how to present the research, how to interpret research, you see. Because as I said, the only difference between you and a PhD is they wrote a document. They wrote a document, you know. And I mean, nowadays my dissertation, it was about what, 200 or 300 pages, you know. But you know, a lot of places now, you can get a PhD just by writing a 50 or 60 page document. You see, a 50 or 60 page document. You know, some of the people that's taken my class, they've been able, in a sense, to write articles, and some of their articles have been posted. You know, posted in a sense in Academia EDU, and other scholars are contacting them. Yeah, JP, yes, more books to come for sure. Yeah, and JP, I know you. Now listen, JP is still in college. Her and her sister are still in college, but they're taking the time to do this. And so this is what I like to see. This is what I like to see. It's what I want to see from you guys. You know. And the thing is, this is that, you know, yes, you know, she's going to write more books, and you can write these books too. You know, CGI Kid Production. How has King Pei become so mystical? They for some reason remember on his stela, they talk about the fact that when he was born, in a sense, they noticed right away that he had a special gift. And then because he had a special gift, then you received the trait. Remember last week when I talked about the Olmec religion, and in the Olmec religion, you know, you wanted to, in a sense, incorporate the children into the community, so you would teach the children the very mystical, you know, techniques and how to be a diviner and stuff. And so that would have been how King Pei would have, in a sense, been able to learn how to do the mystical things. But they already recognized that he had this mystical power. Okay, CGI Kid Production said, did the Khoisan have civilization in England and Ireland? Yes. These are the Khoisan, and even later the Anu. They're mainly described as the little Pictish or Pict people, Picts, the Picts, you know, and they're the little people that we know, in a sense, that it was Khoisan and also Anu in England and Ireland, based upon the time, the chronology of them and their artwork, because much of the artwork, the civilizations that really spread across Europe, they usually came from Africa, and from Africa via into Iberia, or what we call Spain today. And then many other people would sail from Spain to Ireland and to Britain, and they would take that stuff up there. Plus there was a landmass until the Younger Dryas. There was a landmass, and this landmass, in a sense, it united Europe. You know, it united Europe with Europe, and Ireland, Britain was united. Then after the Younger Dryas, when the ice sheet began to melt, then, in a sense, many places were flooded, and many areas that were formerly above the water, they went under the water as a result of the flooding, as the icebergs and all that began to melt away. So these people are called the Picts, and when you read about the Picts, they always describe them as small statured people from Ireland. You know, those if you guys remember, that's what Shanice, Sister Shanice, talked about yesterday. So if you want to find out more about the Picts, and the small statured people who lived in Ireland, this would have been who would have been the Khoisan. You should look at the presentation that Sister Shanice did yesterday and on my platform. And there she talks about, in a sense, the small people. Okay, how you doing, Brave Cold War? He said, speaking of the Khoisan, do you think the click languages were originally global? Of course. You know, most of the even the Europeans admit that the earliest people in Europe, the Cro-Magnon man, were probably Khoisan. And a lot of times, one of the reasons why the Khoisan, they're very interesting, is that the Khoisan, they carry just about every gene. You know, you'll find just about every haplogroup that people carry is usually, in a sense, carried by the Khoisan, you see. So the Khoisan, they were global. They went into Europe around 44,000 BC. And they ruled Europe until about 20,000 BC. That's when the Anu, or the small statured people who we call the people who live, in a sense, the Twa people. The Twa people, they began to replace the Khoisan around between 20,000 and 10,000 BC. The Twa people replaced the Khoisan, but the Khoisan, yes, they're spread around the world, because, see, you know, it was various migrations out. The first people to migrate out of Africa were the people we call today the Aboriginals that live in Australia. And they left Africa around 130,000 BC. And what they did is that it used to be a landmass that connected Africa, India, and Australia. And this last landmass was called Kumari Nadu. And many of the Australians either sailed to Australia or they walked across Kumari Nadu into Australia, you see. They began in a sense. They also ended up in Australians also ended up in California. Yeah, it was Australians in California. They used to eat mastodon, you know, elephant steaks, I guess. Yeah. So, are there any other questions people have? Okay. Well, again, I want to thank your family for coming to this presentation. Please tell your friends to watch this video. Subscribe to my website. Put a like on this video. Come on, put a like on the video. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe, ring the bell so you can find out whenever I'm doing a show. Again, if you've had sixth grade English, I repeat, if you have sixth grade English, you can join my research class, and I will tell you that this class will help you to refine your research skills. This is wonderful. Okay, we got JP out there doing research. Now we see the CGI Kid Productions. I have research on the way. I'm looking forward to seeing this research. And CGI Kid, when you do this research, please let me know. I'll announce your book or whatever your publication. I'll announce it on my platform, because, see, I'm not a brother fucker. Brother fuckers are people, in a sense, who try to hold each other back, who want to, in a sense, act like snakes. And they act like snakes, in a sense, because the fact, in a sense, is that instead of wanting to be helping each other move forward, you see, we hold each other back. You know, and there's also sister fuckers too. And these are sisters who instead of, in a sense, trying to stimulate other sisters, promote other sisters, and in a sense, love their sisters, they try to bring them down. They try to get them fired on their jobs. They try to be jealous. They try to mess with their man instead of, in a sense, working together. We got to get rid of all of these. Listen. After a raccoon The worst black people on this planet are brother fuckers and sister fuckers. Because these are people in a sense who are dangerous because they try to hold other black people back. You see? They try to hold other black people back. And we cannot allow this. Because, see, this is it. Even if you, in a sense, even if you don't know how to do something, even if you don't speak up, support the people who do speak up.
If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. Vampires, they prey on your fears and stay away. Vampires, they prey on your fears, control your atmosphere. Don't let them take your energy. Don't let them take control your atmosphere. I am you and control your atmosphere. Don't let them take your energy. Don't let them suck your energy. It's a distraction away from me. I am you and you are me. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. Nobody but yourself. Don't follow. I said nobody but yourself. Don't follow. Nobody but yourself. Don't follow yourself. Nobody yourself. Nobody but yourself.
If you, I hope you guys enjoyed the videos. These videos were done by the genius. You can see that this is some good stuff. The genius Yoshimod is out there. I hope that if you want to make your website better, if you want to make it exciting, check out some of the services that Yoshimod the genius can provide. Okay, I got to get out of here. Somebody looking for client winners, so I got to go. Thank you. Check me out on Sunday night. I'm gonna be talking with Yoshimod. Wednesday, I'm gonna be talking with Jess Eve. Join us, support us. We need your help, but right now somebody looking for client winners. So I gotta go. See ya.